Hello everyone, my name is Jack Owens. This is my final project. I'm going to be talking a little bit fast because I've been having trouble keeping this under 8 minutes. So this is the Kirkwood Artistic Showcase campaign proposal. Quick overview of the event and the campaign. The campaign would be advertised as an event on the Kirkwood main campus, a student art showcase. Students will be able to register to showcase their artwork or artistic projects, as well as performing arts like music or theater. Students not participating would be encouraged to attend the event by purchasing a ticket or volunteering to help run the event the day of or in the planning process. The objective of the campaign would be to promote the event to students interested in participating, attending, and volunteering, as well as making sure the event is run smoothly in the planning process. Choosing my campaign. I had the idea for this campaign when considering something that would allow for student participation and enjoyment, as well as potentially generate revenue through ticket sales. After going through the early drafting process, both of my classmates and Professor Mangold agreed that this would be my strongest option to achieve my goals. I felt this type of event would provide a lot of opportunity for effective use of strategies that we've learned this semester in the campaigning process, as well as staying under a relatively low budget. The first step in the RPIE process are, as in research. My formative research included discussing ideas with friends, Professor Mangold, and my peers to generate ideas and identify questions I would need to ask myself during the planning process. Qualitative research included early survey of students. Quantitative research. Quantitative research included early interest surveys of students for all categories of involvement, basically seeing how many students of each participant, attendee, and volunteer we could expect to be interested. Qualitative research included faculty, administration, interviews, and consulting. There were questions that might have had answers by those with experience running events on campus, as well as unconsidered factors and questions that I would need to ask myself that I had not considered. The next step in the RPA process, P, is in planning. So I have two SMART goals. My first goal is I want Kirkwood students to participate in my art showcase event. And my second goal was I want Kirkwood students to produce a well-run and entertaining event for the campus community. Both of these goals were specific, and then I knew who I wanted to target and what I wanted to accomplish. Both measurable. The first goal being measurable through student participation, how many participated in each category, and setting goals for how many that we would want to participate. The second being measurable in ticket sales, potentially post-event interviews, and a lack of problems in the planning and implementation phases. Attainable. I think the first goal is attainable when comparing how many students I want to participate to the total campus population. A relatively low percentage of students on a large campus is very attainable. And number two, I believe is attainable through a strong planning process, considering everything that would need to go into the event. Both goals are relevant as they include Kirkwood students on the campus. Pretty self-explanatory. It's being advertised to Kirkwood students. It's an event on their campus, showcasing their peers' talents. And time-bound, the event would have a specific amount of time for planning, registration, as well as a specific day set with a specific time for performances and showcases. Continuing on with P as in planning, my three tactics were community notice, social media release, and a feature. A community notice is a brief description of the details of the event, including the general who, what, when, where, and why that students would need to know if they're interested. It would also include a link to a web page providing further information. Social media release, similar to the community notice, a social media release provide the basic description of the event that participants and attendees would need to know at either a free or low cost, and it could also be a little bit more creative. And finally, the feature. I'm using the concept of feature described in the text a bit loosely here, as it's intended to be mostly text-based. However, I would also like to include a video format. The fun part, I as an implementation. For the community notice, I would use the community notice across multiple platforms, including physical flyers on campus, mass email, and publication through the Communique, the on-campus newspaper. This community notice would have different forms based on the mode of communication, but all would include the essential information as well as a link to a web page providing detailed descriptions of each participant role. Social media release. This could be a little more creative than the community notice, as social media is a less formal means of communication. For example, platforms like Instagram allow users to post a slideshow of images. Here's one such image that I generated with AI, which I would not do if this is a real campaign. Just showing a little bit more of a creative side that we could use social media for. And finally, the feature. The feature with the Communique would include an artist for the event being interviewed and a student interested in attending or volunteering to express to other students how excited they are for events. A video feature with KSP would include a student giving a demonstration of one of their performing arts, as well as being interviewed about the event. And the final step in the RPIE process, E as an evaluation. So for my quantitative evaluation strategies, I had segmenting my sources, web traffic metrics, engagement on social media, web page tracking, and ticket sales. All of these provide numerical data that can tell how many people are being reached in our campaign process and how many people are participating. But a downside of quantitative research is that data can be influenced by several factors that need to be understood and considered during the evaluation, including, like, for example, how many students are likely to read their email, how many students are likely to look at a flyer and access the web page from there, comparing the two, things like that. And for my qualitative evaluation strategies, social media engagement, again, this time in the form of comments and shares, focus groups, and participant surveys. They would give us important information about how the campaign and event are being received by the audience that can shape our future strategies or reevaluate the strategies that we are currently engaging in. If it was during post-event, going forward, it would help us define our future strategies. Downside of qualitative evaluation strategies is it can be harder to make evaluations compared to numerical data, as some of these methods can be a little bit more subjective. For example, social media comments, focus groups, and surveys. Everything is subjective, it's on people's minds. But I guess that goes along with quantitative, and data isn't always accurate in representing how an event was received. And my reflection. What I learned, my main takeaway from this project was that public relations campaigns are a system of intersecting components that are supposed to come together to create the perfect result. I didn't really consider how many things need to come together perfectly and how to really understand all of them. It can be challenging to understand how the components fit into the next and how to use strategies effectively. Understanding your audience, as well as having attainable goals and detailed plans to achieve those goals, are critical in any public relations campaign. Future applications. One of the steps in the campaign process that I intend to carry with me into my career that I think can be applied to a wide range of tasks and roles is evaluation. Evaluation is a step in the process I hadn't considered before beginning, focusing more on what strategies work best and how I can make the correct choices. But through evaluation, those decisions can hopefully become easier over time as I understand what has worked in the past, what hasn't, and what led to those outcomes. In conclusion, this was a very fun project to do, as this is a career I'm potentially interested in, and it gave me a little bit of a look behind the scenes and how much really goes into the process of effectively carrying out one of these campaigns. Thanks, guys.